first series from VIP Mentoring Vlog and Podcast with Nathan Singleton and Elspeth Paisley. In these shows, I'm the interviewer and Nathan's your expert, and we're experimenting a bit with the format of the show, so do let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you do and if you've got any questions and other things that you'd like us to cover, and we'll try to include them. This is the inaugural series of the VIP Vlog, and in this mini-series of 5 shows, we're unpicking what it takes to be a good mentor of young people, whether you're a volunteer or a professional working on a contract. Just to let you know that this series is available on YouTube at LifeLine Projects, and also on podcast at the VIP Podcast with Nathan Singleton. If you're listening on the podcast, we'll put the link in the show notes. Without any further ado, let's get on with this week's show. So today, Nathan, hello.
Hello.
We're going to look at a different kind of vision for young people in today's society. And Nathan and I were chatting about this just a little bit earlier. And it seems to me that society has got some kind of unclear messages for young people. So on the one hand, body image or the way that you look or the kind of celebrity culture of stardom is shown as being the most desirable thing. So that's one group of quite loud group of people, and then there's another group of people that really push education and achieving top grades as being, the way forward in life. And the message seems quite confused to me. So what are your thoughts on what young people really need to hear?
I think the message is confused, and one message they get through social media and media, society in general, and one message they essentially get through their schools, which is a large part of where young people are. And they're very different messages, not necessarily exclusive to each other. I'm not sure if either of them are the best for young people. I think young people have an increased pressure to what I did when I was younger. Social media didn't exist. It has developed over the last 10 years, slightly more. With smartphones, it's become very accessible. So the power of that messaging system is extreme that young people face. And so therefore we have to be clearer, more direct in what we feel the message of young people, the message to young people should be. So the Army did a recruitment campaign a number of years ago, and I'm old enough to remember that. And their tagline was very easy, and it's stamped into my head. Whenever someone says "Be the best," and you saw the pair of boots go boom boom.
I knew you were going to say that.
Stamped into your head too. And I think that would be my message to young people, is about being the best. It doesn't matter what you do, but it's about trying hard. Not even succeeding, but trying hard. I was really fortunate in how I was raised, that I had parents that supported me, and they didn't focus on what grades I got in my GCSEs, A levels, whatever it may be, but they focused on the amount of effort that I put in. And that's created a really important principle for me and for what we do at LifeLine, that our focus isn't the results that young people get, it's the journey that the journey that they go on and the effort they put in, because we are not responsible for our results. I can't make myself clever. At the end of the day, I wasn't very good at maths. I could try, but I couldn't get an A grade. It wasn't realistic or attainable. But that didn't take away anything from the effort that I put in. So our message to young people is always about the effort that they put in. That's what they're responsible for. They're responsible for trying. And that's where the opinion or our approach in some ways might differ from education, is because it's not about getting the A grades, it's about putting in the effort. Whatever you do, be the best, try your hardest. We've recently been doing a tour with Nick Brewer, the top 20 rapper, who was a LifeLine mentor, and his message has been very similar. He's been speaking about how you craft your art, and he's spoken about he's been rapping for 10 years and how in that time he's kept on writing raps and kept on performing and got better and better as he's done it. And I think the message fits whether you're talking about your English language GCSE, or you're talking about becoming the best YouTuber, as one of our young people is focused on doing. So working hard, trying our best would be my message for young people, really.
So how do you counter the message that's given in the media about kind of body image or celebrity being the most desirable thing in the context of what you've just said?
So there are a couple of ways in which we would do that. I suppose it's about primarily leading young people to have a secure identity for themselves. So rather than see their identity how others tell them to, and if we tell them you should see yourself like this, then we're just doing what other people are doing. But wanting them to come to their own conclusions on how they want to be. And that would be part of us. So we have a framework of engaging with young people, which is vision, identity and purpose. And so this would really then link to the whole identity part. And when you work with identity, it's easy just to say, well, you should see yourself like this, you should be like this is a positive image. But unless you give young people a climbing frame to get to that, it's not very useful. So the way we do that is about helping young people see what their own values are, with the thought that we are our values. My identity, I'm made up by the things that I believe, and the things that I believe shape my actions. There's a very good quote by Gandhi in relation to that. So there's a number of exercises that we do with young people to help them identify what their values are, and we would look at perhaps some positive role models and just discuss what their role models' values are, and then help young people identify what things they value, and then we'd hone that down from a list of, a whole bunch of values. I can't remember, it's 100 values or something like that, and they hone that down to identify, actually, these are my top values.
What kind of values are you talking about?
So things like compassion,
right,
excellence, team, integrity, stewardship, generosity.
Okay. Things that really shape what you actually do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you talk about values, people don't talk about negative words. So in framing the debate in that way, it helps to make it a very positive debate about what you want to be, not what you don't want to be. And I think that's another really helpful approach for working with young people. It's about who you want to be, not who you don't want to be. So there's various sports that I like mountain biking, I like snowboarding, and both of those, one of the exciting things is riding through the trees. And when you're riding through the trees, it's easy to look at the tree that you don't want to ride into and you bang into it, because any sports scientist, expert will tell you you go where you're looking. And so it's the same thing in mentoring young people. If we talk about what you don't want to do and what you shouldn't do, then that's what your focus is on. And I think someone at Bank of England, or not Bank of the London Mint, the Royal Mint, spoke about identifying forgeries, and they spoke about the way they train their staff to identify forgeries is not by looking at the fakes, it's by really getting to grips with the genuine article, the £10 note, knowing the smell, the feel, the texture, the size. And so it's about focusing on the positive rather than the negative. So when you snowboard, mountain bike, any of those sports, you look at and you focus on where do you want to go. And so with identity, we want to talk to young people about who do you want to be, where do you want to go. So perhaps using techniques of visualization rather than techniques of avoidance. And so coming back to identifying what your values are and believing that your values make you as a person will be really key. And then that would also link in with our general belief of young people, that we see young people as agents of change. We don't see them as rappers or football football stars, thank you, or Cambridge students, but in whatever they do, they can affect change.
It's interesting because it sounds like you've got quite a message to the media world, really, because obviously it's through media, not just social media, but media in general, that's young people get their messaging. So if you're talking about a different kind of message, what would your message to the media be?
It does take some thought around the media because there's certain formats that sell, and if you look at reality TV, there's always a baddie, there's always gossip, there's always negativity, and the feel-good movie is the negativity turns to positivity. And when we've looked at engaging with media, they want to know the worst things about young people, and as a youth work organisation, that's not what we want to reflect on. We want to reflect on the positive, not the negative. And it's very interesting, Bear Grylls does a TV series, The Island, with Bear Grylls, and they really minimise on the negative, and they have a formula to do it, as all these people do, but they really focus on the positivity and on what people can do and do well, rather than, I'm sure in every group you get gossip and backstabbing and snarkiness. But I really like the way that he's taken something and they've made something very positive about it. So I suppose I'm a little bit conflicted because the media opinion, negativity sells. No one buys a newspaper that's got all good news in it. But yet we want to keep the message to young people and about young people positive. And so I suppose that would be my encouragement to the media outlets to bring a balanced view. Make sure they don't just trade on a whole fear element of things that takes over in society, and I think we see it in the political situation at the moment with Brexit, and now we're starting to recover on that. The fear is starting to reside, and we're starting to find a way forward. And having a leader that says they're going to find a way forward is really important, and that's something that I think as a nation we face a lot of fear of. But if you look at young people's lives, they need people that can provide that same leadership.
Excellent. I think we'll leave it there for today. Until next time.
Good. Thank you very much.